Welcome to the Grow Old Disgracefully podcast with myself, Andy, if you don't know, and then obviously the ever awesome Ruth. How are you, Ruth?
I'm good, thank you, Andy. Although I made a cuppa to bring out to do the podcast with me and I've left it indoors, so that's a sad day.
Oh no,
Yeah. So my cup of tea is
that's not
just
good.
inside. But it's all right. I can make another one or reheat that one, whatever. But yes, apart from that, all good.
Good.
What are we on? What day is it? Tuesday.
Tuesday, I think. How was your weekend?
Well, I think before I answer that, we need to ask you a question because you've just had a birthday, haven't you?
Yes, I had my birthday was on Sunday.
43.
So yeah, 43. Yeah, feeling good. Sprightly for the age of 43. So can't complain. Can't complain.
I don't know why I thought you were like a week later than that. I knew you were June. I knew that we were the same year, same month, but you're 1st of June, are you?
Yeah, 1st of June. Laura's the
Yeah.
6th. She's a week later than me.
Maybe we've had that
So we
discussion.
yeah, we're sort of 5 days apart. So yeah, no, 1st of June. So yeah, quiet day followed by a trip to outpatients because the little man's got pink eye.
Oh no.
Um so he's got manky eyes at the moment. So but he's in pretty good form apart from that.
Oh, that's hard, isn't it? Because you're trying to get them to not touch one eye and they just do. They're just
Yeah.
everything's in there, isn't it? It itches.
Fortunately it's in both eyes, so it doesn't really matter if he touches one or the other.
Well, yeah, that's the problem that they do spread it to both eyes. You didn't manage
Yeah.
to finish. You normally have a cigar, don't you, on your birthday?
Say again.
You normally have a cigar, don't you, on your birthday?
I normally do, but I didn't have the opportunity to have one because that time I would have had one when he was in bed, and we were unfortunately on our way to the Royal Infirmary to see the outpatient's doctor at that point. So
Ah,
yes, so no cigar yet, but probably get a cigar in over the weekend with for Laura's birthday.
oh, yeah. Well, there you go. You celebrate
So
Laura's birthday instead.
ex exactly.
And any cake.
Although,
Uh,
so I didn't make a cake. Decided to go to Morrison's and get a cake, and it was the most disappointing cake I've ever had. So
supermarket.
yeah, yeah,
I
it was shit,
I
awful.
believe I believe M&S ones are better. So I've been told with homemade with bought cakes. I think.
Yeah, Colin the Caterpillar. You can't go wrong with Colin the Caterpillar, and I should have probably just stuck with him.
I one year, so I normally make the birthday cakes, but I think it was a year we just moved home, and I had a client at the time who worked for the place that makes M&S cakes, and he was like, "Oh, we do celebration cakes, we do giant Colin the Caterpillar cakes," and I didn't know. And anyway, we got a giant Colin the Caterpillar for Arthur's birthday, and he got it written up for his
We
birthday.
we got two giant Colin Caterpillar cakes for our wedding. That's what our wedding cake was.
Was it? Oh, amazing!
Yeah,
That's very cool.
Laura loves Colin Caterpillar, so that was basically it. Was the fact that two giant Colin the Caterpillar cakes worked at about 70 quid, I think. They're about £35 each. Or
Yeah,
if
it
you
sounds
mention
right.
anything to do with a wedding cake, £700. No,
No,
not spending
no.
that on a bloody cake.
No, it does get ridiculous as soon as you say wedding.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, look, as well, I have posted a recipe reel today that I made, and I want your thoughts on this because I think you would have just been like, "Bleh, no." Um, one of my clients said to me, "Oh, I've been thinking about trying this, but thought you might want to try it first." And I was like, "Oh, I feel like I'm being stitched up really here." And it was um, scrambled egg chocolate mousse.
Right, do you give me 2 seconds? I'm going to get this up on my Instagram. Just have a look at it. Let's have a look.
It just looks like chocolate mousse. The thing is, when I
Is it
was
is it
making,
is it any good?
that's the thing, Andy. It just tasted like chocolate mousse. It was actually pretty nice. If you like
Well,
chocolate mousse,
that's always a
yeah,
bonus because generally what happens is you try to make, like, for instance, I always laugh at this thing, like Laura does it, like she does the whole protein powder and porridge, and I'm just like, just have a protein shake and porridge because they're the worst thing to ever to mix together. Similar,
I'm
like
so with
protein
you.
pancakes always taste like shit. Just have normal pancakes. Like
I'm
that's the
like
reality.
that with most things. You know, if people say to me, "Can you make a healthy version of these?" I'm like, "No, I will have my healthy foods in my meals, and then occasionally I will have the thing that I just really want. You know, just that
Yeah,
food for something else." And protein powder in porridge or even anything warm is a big no for me. I just don't like the taste of
yeah.
it at all.
Was
No.
that a bit of ginger? Was it a bit of ginger you put in it as well?
No, it was literally three ingredients. It was maple syrup, uh, milk, and scrambled egg. Oh no, and cacao powder or cocoa powder, and then
Mm.
scrambled egg. But the bit that you might have seen me adding at the end was actually a bit of
Yeah.
egg I dropped to the side, and I was
All
like,
right.
ah, best put
I
that
thought it
back
was a
in.
bit of I thought it was a bit of ginger. I was like, oh, that's interesting. A wee ginger
No,
chocolate mousse sounds good.
that would actually probably taste quite nice. But no, I honestly, when I was making it, I was making fried egg, and I was like, it feels so wrong putting chocolate into scrambled egg.
I put in a scrambled egg and making it sweet. Ooh.
It's so weird. But I mean, I know that mousse is made with egg whites and so on traditionally anyway, so I guess it makes sense. But I was very skeptical. I always quite struggle with that word as well. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to is trying recipes, feeling like I've been getting stitched up, but actually um, was all right. Tasted
You've been
okay.
getting chocolate mousse out of the end of it, which is a bonus.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you just do? Protein shake and a banana and stuff for breakfast, don't you? When you're if you
I'm just a protein shake normally. Like,
mm,
don't bother. I find it just a bit of a pain in the ass trying to find time to eat because that's my busiest time with clients in the mornings. So, um, and also for some reason I've had a really not had an appetite at all for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Um, so I'm just trying to get the sort of protein in. But yeah,
I,
but nah, I
I
just find that I've got more to do in the morning, so actually a protein shake's much easier.
I can't relate to not being hungry, although the mornings typically are times when we're less hungry anyway, aren't they? The only thing I find that it traditionally for me, and I find this for a lot of my clients as well, but us women probably don't get away with it as much, is that if I don't have breakfast, I'm then really hungry in the evening and just snack away. So then I find if I just get my meals in, it helps me later on. But
Mm.
yeah, my husband will just forget to eat. I'm like, how? I just don't know how you do that. Do you forget
Yeah,
to
it's
eat?
I'm not too bad at I'm not too bad at like as long as it gets to lunchtime and then I'm pretty standard with my eating from that point. But yeah, I've just generally got other things to do first thing in the morning, like working with clients or getting stuff done. So yeah, it's more convenience than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So Andy, last time we spoke, I said about things happening in the wellness industry. Remember that ChatGPT was
Mm.
like, mate, anything you've noticed this week that has been happening that you thought you'd like to comment on?
Um, I
If
don't
not, there's
know. Have
something
you?
we spoke about. Wow, we spoke about this a bit last week, but it's been on my mind a little bit more because I was watching telly the other day and I
Uh-huh.
noticed that one of the adverts, and I don't always watch TV, but I noticed one of the adverts, very attractive lady, but I noticed that she was almost Kate Moss thin again. And I was like, huh, interesting. I've got used to seeing people around me or on adverts that I felt have been stronger or normal size, whatever. And I thought, are we slipping back to going to very thin again? And then I was like, even the things that you see on adverts, those messages that are always coming, if you're constantly surrounded by that, that would automatically have an impact on how people are feeling, what people think they should aspire to. And there were other people on the adverts who were normal, what I'd call normal size, but they were like secondary in the distance. So I don't know, I
Yeah.
don't think it was necessarily done intentionally, but I just thought it was interesting when I was watching the adverts to think, oh, there's a lot more very thin people again. Or maybe it's just that on that run of adverts I was watching. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah. I'm not. I think that I think it's going to be something that's going to be kind of big because of the popularity of this. Is it the GLP-1 sort of weight loss drugs and stuff. I think it's going to become a bit more front facing again, where people are just trying to get as small as possible. And you kind of hope that we got away from that more than anything else. But we, I'm not saying it's a shortcut, but it is people are using it as a shortcut to get as
Mm.
small as they can, and it's not a good thing.
I
Somebody
mean,
popped up something.
oh,
Let
yeah,
me let
no, I
me
was
go.
just going
I'll
to say,
find.
with regards to GLP-1, there's people using it very sensibly, aren't there? The
Absolutely,
people
yeah.
that are looking at their nutrition and they're literally just using it to help them cancel out food noise. And
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, you're focused on what you can, and then that's taking away that constant thinking of food, fine. But there are others who are like, I'm going to be on this forever. I'm not trying to learn anything. I'm just going to eat the same foods, and it means that I can just eat the crap, but you know, um, not change anything else, and that worries me a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, I think the thing I was reading just now is from it's just kind of three sort of facts about them. The first one is that there is literally no study that shows that these drugs create significant long-term weight loss. The longest study so far is 4 years, and there was an 89.5% dropout rate, and some people regained weight while still taking the drug. And these drugs have serious, sometimes fatal side effects, even if they are shown to have health benefits. It's very possible that weight neutral, health supporting options could have the same benefits with far less risk of harm. And I think
Where are you seeing
the
that?
problem,
So, I
somebody's popped it up. I'll send you it
oh,
just now.
yeah,
Um,
please. Only
but
because I love.
it's yeah, it's something that something that we don't think about very often when these things pop up. For me, it's a little bit like we obviously when we had the discussion last week about vaping. You know, vaping was to become the next smoking because there's less tar involved and there's less of this the what people would class as the bad stuff from actually smoking cigarettes or cigars or whatever it is. But we still don't know the issues that that does because we literally just they've just come on the market. There's literally no time to study them, so the potential of having some seriously harmful side effects later on down the line is probably quite high because we don't actually know anything about them.
Yeah, well, I mean, GLP stands for, let me get this right, hang on. It stands for a glucagon-like peptide, which is something that naturally occurs. But just in case people were wondering, um,
Hmm.
the macronutrient content of a meal, I'm just reading this out, affects the amount of GLP-1 that's released. So this is GLP-1 is released mainly in response to the carbohydrates and fats in a meal. Protein stimulates GLP-1 release to a less extent. And it said this should not be interpreted as a license to eat large amounts of fats and carbs in order to boost these levels. And it says basically a more promising way to healthily boost your GLP-1 levels is through exercise. GLP-1 seems to rise immediately after exercise, and baseline levels of GLP-1 in people who exercise remain elevated in the medium term too. Not only that, but exercise may help decrease GLP-1 resistance in people with type 2 diabetes and medicate. So GLP-1, they've kind of created this medication, I believe, that's going to try and boost your GLP-1. That's what I'm kind of
Hmm.
thinking. And there are things that can do that naturally pretty well anyway, by the sounds of it. But yeah, there we go. Exercise. It always comes down to exercise, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If you can, the thing is as well, if we can start creating some long-term sustainable habits like exercise, engaging our brains when it comes to things like portion control, um, life means that you don't have to rely on medication. You know, you see so many people having to rely on medication for other issues that probably well, I've had quite a few clients have gone in for like sort of going back into after having like say for instance like cholesterol drugs or heart drugs etc. Going back in to speak to the GP and the GP telling them that they shouldn't have been on this stuff for a couple of years because they just don't test them often enough. And that's kind of scary. You've been taking something for 2 years longer than you should have been. You don't know what the side effects to that are, especially if everything's kind of back to normal.
It's mainly women that are taking it, isn't it? I mean, men are taking it, but it's mainly women, I believe. Am I right? I think so.
It'll be mainly women and probably a lot of men who are trying to cut for things like bodybuilding
Oh,
competitions
yeah.
or holidays. Um,
I
so
hadn't
yeah,
even
it's
thought
going to.
about it for bodybuilding.
Yeah. Well, I don't actually know what the kind of the I don't really know what the mechanics of it are. If it's attacking body fat or if it's just weight loss, because it could be sacrificing muscle. So I
It's
actually don't know.
no, well, from what I know about it, and limited, not a doctor, but in it suppresses hunger, so you end up eating quite low calories. So in the same way as any very low calorie diet, you are going to lose muscle mass as well, but only really because your calories are that restricted. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's like if you went on a very low calorie diet, you would lose muscle mass as well. But I do wonder whether the fitness industry has a little bit of to answer for with promising, often people think that they're broken because they don't see results very quickly when they go on these short-term plans or they regain the weight after they're doing them. And I sometimes think the messaging, and it might not be on purpose, but sometimes the messaging around it is like, see how much weight you can lose in 4, 6, 8, 10, whatever weeks. And you see the
Yeah.
before and after pictures. And I'm like, that isn't giving that might give them short-term hope, and they might even say, oh, it worked for me. But you can actually get really great results just by making it lifestyle changes, really great results, and doing it in a way that isn't like, I've got to go all in. I think people have been led to believe that they need to go all in to achieve fat loss results, and especially when you've got a lot of weight to lose. You don't need to go all in to start seeing results normally. But anyway,
Yeah, I don't even know if it's something that's actually within the fitness industry at the moment, or if it's just something that, um,
always
or not the fitness industry that we know in the
no,
actual educated side of it.
yeah,
But you see the kind of pile on with stuff like any form of health and fitness information that comes via men's magazines, women's magazines, fashion magazines, bloody This Morning or whatever it is
yeah.
always seems to be sadly really, really polarizing, and they never get somebody in who just basically tells you the truth. It's not going to be
Well,
fast. It's going to be long term, simple as that, because everybody wants a quick fix. We say this regularly. If you can give somebody a shortcut from A to B, they'll take it because that's the best way. It's the quickest way to do it. And
so
sometimes,
carry on. Sorry.
no, no, you go.
No, it's just you're making me think because you're right. And actually, we are very lucky in the sense that we surround ourselves by people who in the fitness industry are giving out the science, right? And they're looking at the
Yeah.
facts and so on. But you're right that it's the press, the news, those messages you're getting, celebrities, dare I say it, the ones that are losing weight really quickly and for whatever reason.
CWCs,
Yeah, go on, say what it means.
cunts with cameras.
I was like, I know it's, I'm going to get that baby
I'm
thing to say that.
I'm an influencer. Shut up, you
It's
annoying twat.
it's often clickbait, right? But I had a lady that signed up with me at the end of last summer,
Hmm.
end of last summer, kind of, and she started the call by saying, "I don't want to feel rushed," and I was like, "Amazing," and if she'd said or she'd looked at her progress in weeks, you might say, oh, she only lost, I don't know, a couple of kilograms in that month. I don't know what she lost at that time point, but she's just hit 25 kilos of weight loss and she started then. And often we expect massive, big results short term, very short term, but we actually don't realize how much we can achieve. We don't believe that we can achieve that carrying on longer if we make it easier. And I remember at the beginning, she was saying to me, I sort of feel like I should be working harder. I feel like I should be trying harder. And I'm thinking, yeah, but it's working. Like, no, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It's okay.
Occasionally we can work. We don't need to work too hard. You just work smart. Work
Yes.
smarter, not harder. In some cases, it will be work harder because it's going to get difficult. But I think for the majority of stuff, if you could sit down and try to educate the mass population who are potentially wanting to get in better physical condition for themselves or for their health or whatever it is, I think they would be massively surprised about how simple it can be. Like
Mm.
there's nothing that difficult about it. It's just about building some really simple habits, consistently ticking those habits off every day, you know. And the problem is that that's where things are, as we say regularly, Instagram, social media, all this kind of stuff makes it sound like it has to be sexy, it has to be exciting. It's not. Like, it's a process that can be fucking boring, and it generally is. And it's about being able to hang that out and hang into the fact that you're still ticking those boxes, regardless of how boring it may become. That's where you get results from. You get results
Yeah.
from being able to. This is the only time I'll use the word grind it out. You grind it out, and it's all to do with boredom. It's got nothing to do with how hard it is. It's about boredom.
I'm going to write that down just in case you say it again in the future, and I'll be like, I think you said that you would only say it once.
I think you said that
On
already.
the 3rd of June, you said it was the last time. Um, no, agreed. But what I think that people can get muddled with is that they get their targets and they get these habits and they think that that is what they have to do every single day. But actually, even with the habits that you have, you can have a bit of a range so that you're not giving up on them, because not like, especially when you've got little ones at home and you've got people to look after and things, not every single day is going to be the same. So if you're thinking, in order to achieve my fat loss goals, I never can eat above this calorie target, I can never go and enjoy a piece of cake, and I can never do below that number of steps. That's not true at all. And actually, if you're focusing on fat loss, you could probably include those things within that thing. But it also means that some weeks you might go, okay, I'm going to ease off just a little bit because I know that it's unrealistic. I'm going on a holiday, I'm away with family, and I don't want to be constantly chasing and stressing about that goal. So I'm easing off, but I've got a plan for when I come back. And when we say consistency over time, we don't mean
Mm,
necessarily even a week. We mean over the months, over the year, long term.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you think that if you've got 52 weeks in a year and say you take 3 weeks worth of holidays, that's still 49 weeks of consistency,
Yeah.
which is a hell of a lot more than the 3 weeks you feel that you're going to ruin yourself in. If you're
Mhm.
consistent for 49 weeks, 3 weeks, you could probably do pretty much what you wanted, and it would be pretty cool. You'd be pretty still settled in place and being able to get what you needed out of the rest of it. But as we said, that it's the whole thing is about simplicity, and I think the problem is that and simplicity and consistency and the boredom side of it isn't going to sell magazines. It's not going to have any. There's no clickbait. There's no exciting story at the end of it. It's basically just keep doing the mundane. If you can keep doing the mundane, you'll get results. It's as simple as that. It's not difficult.
I mean, that's it, Andy. What are you going to do about Instagram if you can't use clickbait to get? You're going to have to use thirst trap instead, aren't you?
Exactly.
You're going to have
That's
to.
it.
You're going to have to. That's Andy's whole thing now. Just keep an eye on his page and watch your
Yep.
content change. It's either that or back to the feet pics.
Back to feet finder. We're on.
Do you know? I nearly put a picture up. This is how much it's affecting whether I post. But this morning I was doing a live class, and I could see I was doing it barefoot and I could see my tan. I've got white feet and brown legs. I was like, oh no, I've been wearing trainers too much. And I nearly like screenshot it to put it on my stories. And I was like, oh, hang on a second. You don't get that for free.
Exactly. That's at least 50 quid right there.
Yeah,
Hobbit feet. People
save
will
that
pay for
one.
Hobbit feet.
But I was like, white, they're so pale. And I was like, I need to start wearing some sandals of some description, sort that out. Or at least, or fake tan my feet. Does anyone ever do that? I've never even thought about it, but there we go. That's where I'm
Yep.
at. Oh dear.
Oh.
So Any lessons from a 43-year-old? I think that we need to know.
Simplicity, consistency. Um, I think I don't know. I think a lot of it as well is about, for me, is like the older you get, the more you realise you kind of need to live a little bit in the now as well, and kind of just enjoy what's happening. I was watching the Champions League final on Saturday. Did
They're
did
not.
you
We're
did you
not.
see any of it?
Was
Not
it
really football fans?
Crystal Palace?
No,
No.
it was
I.
Paris Saint-Germain
Oh,
versus
the.
Inter Milan.
Sorry.
So
Tell me what
Champions
you're
League,
watching. Champions League, not the. Because there was
Champions League,
one.
Champions League.
Because I know that
That
they
was
did well in
so that
the.
was two weeks ago. FA Cup final, yeah, they
Yeah,
did.
FA Cup. That's
Palace
what I
did.
think.
Palace did really well. They were fantastic. But yeah, I was watching the PSG game, and it's kind of it's quite a tough one actually, because obviously I think the older I get, the more emotional I become. Like I'm pretty much I'm kind of icy hearted, but the lad who's the PSG manager, Luis Enrique, lost his daughter. I think she was only like 9, and they put the PSG fans. There's a picture of him when they won, Barcelona won, sticking a flag in the ground, and his daughter's with him. And the PSG fans made this massive tifo, which is like the big kind of posters up on the top that unfurled with the picture of his daughter and stuff planting the PSG flag. And there's like some videos that have popped up since then about him talking about it, and he's like, honestly, he is like, they're talking about the fact that, folk are like, oh, she was only 9. He's like, yeah, but we had 9 years with her. Like, that's amazing. And it's like that, and you're just like, I'm sitting going, oh, it's like,
I
oh crap. But
I don't
so
know
yeah,
if
so one of them's definitely living the now. Like, it's still very well keep them worrying about what's coming round the corner next, but you just don't know what's coming next, and it's about enjoying what you've got, and then embracing the people that are close to you and stuff. So yeah, it was a kind of emotional, and it was an emotional Saturday night because Laura was out at Robbie Williams, so I'm sitting here watching the Champions League final, nearly crying at the end.
I that type of thing would get me. I'm similar to you in the sense that my husband's like, you have to poke her really hard to make her cry. But
Yeah.
I don't I think I don't know, it's not even that things don't bother me. I think it's just, I don't know if it's the time that I grew up in, but I'm not somebody that will just cry at things. But if
Mm.
it's around people's loss or
Mm.
children and things like that, then I'm like, oh, or dogs. If it's dogs.
Dogs. Cats, couldn't give two shits about cats. Dogs, massively dogs.
Yeah.
As my dog is lying here snoring.
I mean, I have a cat. I never thought I'd own a cat, but now that is it
Dead to the world. Malamute, yeah.
Malamute? I because they're different, aren't they? But does she sing? Because I always think of them as being
Um,
howlers.
she she's coming up for 12, and she doesn't really do it anymore. But previously, she would sing at stuff like, I think she's going deaf. To be fair, she'd sing at like fire engines and ambulances and stuff. And she'll do a bit when I'm annoying her, like play fighting with her and stuff. But she's just getting a bit old now. She enjoys sleeping. She's always sleeping and chilling
Oh,
and
I
hiding
mean,
and hiding from the wee man because he terrorizes her.
yeah. Well, we've got my dog's. He's 11 in July, and that's suddenly. Well, he suddenly started getting his whiskers, grayer whiskers around. But we're looking after a friend's collie this week. I used to only have collies, and they were pretty chill. Our collies, but this is like a typical collie, and she's just watching you all the time, and like always just lying or moving or trying to grab something. And I'm like, oh my goodness, she's exhausting. I just need to try and remember that's what they can be like.
But collies are incessant. We had a collie when I grew up, and there's hyperactive, and then there's a collie. In fact, you've probably
They're
got
neurotic.
hyperactive, you've then got like spaniel, then you've got collies like literally. I'm pretty sure like they can see. I'm pretty sure they can smell colors, and
It's,
they're X-ray sight and stuff. They're batshit crazy.
I loved having collies when I had them, but my first
Mm,
collie I got when I was 21, and she kind of came everywhere with me, but they were pretty chill. But I don't know if they were chill because, I don't know, just we were at a different stage in life. But Archie, our collie, who was her son, he died a couple of years ago now. And again, you remember him being chill, but he was 15 when he died. So maybe he
Hmm.
wasn't,
Uh,
but I don't know that I could get a collie again. I'm not
no,
sure
I
that I
think
could.
there's a lot of work with a collie, and also as well, like I know she's classed as a working dog, but there's not very many opportunities for her to go sledding and stuff in Scotland, even though the weather's shite. But getting her up and down the hills is great. But collies, I think, need to be sort of more mentally stimulated by actually working with the animal, like working sheepdogs kind of stuff. Because we had a working collie, and she was an absolute savage. Like she hated other dogs. She would go near no other dogs. If a dog came within like 10 feet of her, she'd literally maul it. She'd be chasing it. She was the ultimate loner, but she was a complete psychopath. But an amazing dog. Like she saved my dad's life numerous times with bulls and stuff. So
Yeah.
one time Bill decides to turn around and go at my dad, and she would put herself in front of it. So yeah, she's scary, scary, scary loyal, psychopathically hyper. Is probably the best way to
Yes.
put it.
When
Um,
I got my first collie, they said to keep her mentally stimulated if you're not going to work her. And so I did, I taught her loads of tricks, and I would do,
mm,
I'm not like, I did agility with her just because it was like, oh, teach her stuff. And I could teach her to do anything. I remember going to my mum's and her being like, I wish your dog would shut the door. I'm like, okay, I'll teach her. And I thought I was really good at training dogs. And then I got Mycroft, who's our German Wirehaired pointer. And even now I tell him to sit down. He's like, remind me, what is that again? What?
yeah,
Just
you
really
do it.
slow.
You do it first. You do it first,
Yeah.
and I'll maybe copy you.
He's just so slow the way his bum goes to the floor. But having a dog, I've realised in our life, and this does kind of lead to fitness and so on, we are always going to have a dog. Not for me so much, but my husband just loves having a dog. Like I love having a dog, but it's almost like he needs a dog. And actually to get him out walking and doing stuff, the dog is that incentive as well. I think mental health wise, I think a dog is good for him, actually.
Yeah, you have no excuses in terms of weather and stuff. You've got if the dog needs to go out, the dog needs to go out. It's as simple as that. But also as well, you can like learn a lot of stuff like from having a dog that probably react or come into sort of everyday life as well. Like even at 12 years old, it's about reinforcing learning and stuff like that, and keeping educating them as well. So we need to keep doing that too, regardless of how far into the fitness industry I think I am, and I've had more time in the fitness industry than out of it now, probably by quite a long way. In fact, 25 years now within the fitness industry, and I'm still learning, and I'm still pushing myself to learn and doing more things that I can educate myself. And it's something that I think a lot of people I had this discussion actually earlier on that I think there's a lot of folk that look at the fitness industry and go, "Oh, this is like it'll be an amazing job," and then don't realise the work that you need to put in after you've qualified. It's a little bit like when you pass your driving test. Just because you pass your driving test doesn't mean you know how to drive. You've not seen half of what's out there. And the fitness industry is the same. Like you continuously got to keep educating yourself because things move daily, things change. There's new research comes out. There's things that you'll come across where things like any form of training, you'll have different clients will train slightly differently because of biomechanics, because of injury, because of all number of stuff. And it's about being able to keep educating yourself to be able to keep up with the demand that you have as a coach, and being able to educate people out with it as well.
100%. And actually, any time that you are struggling with anything within your job, I think you have to be open and go, what didn't I know? Like, what don't I know? Like, I think being honest with yourself that you don't know everything is going to be key. Like, you're not expected to know absolutely everything, but each time you go and go, right, I want to know a bit more about that, you're just adding a little bit of knowledge there. And it's staying inquisitive, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And it's you kind of have to. You've got to stay on top of these things because otherwise you just get left behind. And kind of it's the last thing you want, isn't it? You want to stay ahead of the game and as close to. I suppose. I think it's a bit like not being relevant, but being up to date with your knowledge and stuff, isn't it? It's making sure that you are doing the best for your clients, and the people that you work with by keeping yourself educated so that you can keep them, their education and knowledge moving forward as well.
That being said, Andy, we both know that the one thing that doesn't seem to change is the fact that there's certain, it's not about doing the gimmicky exercises that's going to get you amazing results. There might be exercises and
Yeah.
accessories that you're going to try, but it comes down to certain movement patterns that you're going to be repeating in different ways again and again, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had that chat last week on one of my stories on Instagram, and it was something, I think somebody had asked about overrated exercises, and I was like, yeah, there's lots. There are a lot of exercises that people use that not, and I'm not saying that they don't have any relevance, but there are a hell of a lot better exercises to use in most circumstances. And the reason that people are chucking them up on Instagram and Facebook and stuff is because they look good. You know,
Mm.
if you're a jacked guy and you're doing the two that I hate at the moment, or three that I hate at the moment are um, I could keep going. The 4, the 5, the 27.
I've got a pad.
One of the first, yeah, the first one is. Have you seen these Oliver Twist curls that people seem to be doing? I don't know
No.
why people are doing it. So it's basically you have one dumbbell and you hold it like the bowl in Oliver Twist. So you, please, sir, can I have some more? And you do bicep curls with the dumbbell, one dumbbell in two hands. So that's all
It's
very well and
keeping you
good,
in the
but
isometric position then, because you're never going to be able to open out to full extension. That's what they're
yeah,
trying to do
so if
then.
yeah, so well, but not even that. People are actually moving through the movement, but you're only getting really up. It's probably like about
Partial
a
rep.
third of a third of a rep. Like the whole point of like you get the best benefit from full range of movement. If you're a bloke, you end up whacking it off your nuts most of the time because the heel of the dumbbell ends up cracking you in the nut sack, which is not comfortable. So using two dumbbells, you could probably lift more anyway. So it's an awkward position to do. I hate that one.
Oh,
The
I
other one I
think I
don't.
know what you mean. So I was picturing it differently. When
Yeah,
now
well, it's like holding it like the bowl in Oliver Twist.
it's
Please,
just one
sir.
dumbbell rather than
Please,
one in
yeah,
each
please,
hand.
sir,
Oh,
I want some more. And you do this thing where it's like partial. It's like a partial movement. It's and it'll look good if you've got properly jacked arms and you've done some full range bicep curls beforehand, so your veins are popping and they look great. It might look great, but actually, in relative terms, is it optimal for building biceps? Probably not.
I do
Um,
like her 21 though.
21s are great, but again, that's a full range movement. It's a full
Yes.
range exercise that you're doing, but just splitting it up into different
Yeah.
parts. So, the other two that I dislike just now is this one where everybody seems to as bastardizing a pull down, a single arm pull down, and a single arm row at the same time. So it's like a it's like a row from a pull down position. There are You can
Oh, they're
lift
leaning right
heavier.
back. Very
It's like a
back.
single arm. It's like at a 45-degree angle. No, it's not even that height. Like a single arm pull down's fine. So anything from there
Yeah.
down, great. It's like from there, it's like a 45-degree angle, and they seem to be doing this thing where it's a mix of a row and a pull down. And I'm like, well,
I
okay,
think
I've tried it, and a pull down. The whole point of a pull down is as you pull down, you lock the lats in place, the movement comes down. A row, you're going from the front, basically pulling back, and you're locking your back up a tight. This kind of shitty row doesn't do either. It's not hitting either position to be able to lock it or to stretch it properly. It's just a bit of a strange exercise. And then the third one is glute kickbacks on the cables. Anybody that does glute kickbacks, whenever I see them, it's generally doing them wrong. If you want to do something that's going to really stimulate building a butt, go get a dumbbell, go get a plyo box, do step ups.
good. Oh,
It's
step ups. I put those
exactly,
in
it's
quite a lot.
exactly, it's a very, it's the same movement, but you're under more control because rather than try to do it like a fucking karate kick, like the bloody Matrix behind you, you can just do it straight up and down. And it's going to be, you're using control of your body weight and the dumbbell. Well, more weight straight away. You're going to stimulate the muscle better. Whoop de do. Yeah, it doesn't look as good on an Instagram, but I tell you what, it'll do a fuck sight more than what you're doing. So yeah,
I actually can
Keep it simple.
keep it simple. I've got something to add to the keep it simple thing in a moment. But before that, I want to say to you, can I please request that you do a series as reels and we just send you exercises that we think look a bit stupid and you give them a go and then say
Yeah,
how
do
you
it.
feel.
You're
I
doing
think
that with
that
you do that with your cooking. I'll do that with exercises. So my
I would
first three that I
love to
need to
see.
do, my Oliver Twist curl, this stupid fucking pull down row shite, and then I'm actually going to try. Do you know what I'll do is I'm going to even do kickbacks, and I'll try and get myself hung up, so I'm like hanging from the cable, just to say
Yeah.
this is things that can go wrong by
And
hanging
it
by my
could
leg.
shittest exercises I've seen this week. But the or recently, because you could just do one of those a week, can't you? Anyway, the other thing
Yeah.
I was going to say, and it's not that I don't, because I do put these in, but I do it tend to do it into more of like a home circuit if people don't have much weight and so on, or if it's a hit based session. But I do think we need to be a little bit careful if the only way we're training legs is when we're doing it combined with an upper body move, because obviously your legs can lift a lot more than your upper body can. So if you're doing
Mm.
a squat to press, which I actually do like doing a squat to press if we're doing like a hit type session or a circuit, I will put it in. But if you're planning on going heavy, then you're going to be limited with how much you're putting on that squat by your leg. Your legs are going to be limited by your upper body strength. Do you know what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say? So those
Yeah.
combination
So
moves aren't always
it's
brilliant.
It's like well, it's the same thing as we had all this shite that came out about functional training. Like, oh, functional training, we'll do a lunge that's going to have a shoulder press in it at the same time. It's like focus on one, right? Focus on one, get good at one, and then do the other one and get good at that as well. I'm pretty sure you can press more out of a lunge position, and I'm pretty sure you can lunge more when you're not trying to press at the same fucking time. It's just the functional fitness kind of stuff really really made people think out of the box about how they could be moronic when they're training. Like, I remember doing a course, right? So I did a course. Fortunately, I got it for free because otherwise I'd have been asking for my money back. It was a functional fitness course, and the guy was like, "Oh, so we're going to do transverse snatches," and I'm like, "What now?" It's a transverse snatch. So we're going to teach a snatch, but you're going to do it starting off to the side. So you're basically starting off with your upper body rotated round and you're snatching up into the normal position. And I'm just like, wow. Like
Injury centric.
a snatch is already a pretty high risk exercise due to the fact it's moving a heavier or a decent amount of weight above your head, where you have the risk of falling, dropping a bar, losing your control, getting the bar on the top of your coupon, or breaking your arm if you can't lock it out, or popping your shoulder, whatever. Let's do it with a rotation in it at the same time. That sounds great. Sign me up for that chat. If that's functional fitness, move me away from functional fitness. Um,
There you go. Andy is the anti-functional coach. The something.
the one
Go on.
just quickly on that one, there was one of the best things I've ever heard though came from that course. So there's this lad that was there, big like bodybuilder, big lad, and he was the guy's like, so he goes, can somebody give me an example of an exercise that's not functional? And somebody piped up and went, bicep curls. And the guy's like, yes, that's right, that's not functional. And the big guy put his hand up and went, I disagree with that. And he's like, well, what do you mean you disagree with that? I goes, I disagree with that because a bicep is functional. He's like, well, why? Tell me why it's functional. He goes, well, he goes, so my job is my outlook in life is as a male, I need to procreate. To procreate, I need to find a female. From every female magazine that I've seen the cover of, they like big arms. He goes, so as far as I'm concerned, to attract a female, to attract a mate, I need to have bigger arms. Bicep curls are going to get me bigger arms. So technically, it's a functional exercise. The guy just did not know what to say, and I was just, well done, you,
I can't
brilliant.
believe
Popped him in his place.
they must have been devastated when you turned up on that course.
Oh, honestly, it was some of the stuff like transverse snatches, transverse clean and jerk, and you're like, let's take a really risky exercise and make it even more risky. But it's like, cool, what we're going to do next? We're going to do overhead squats over an alligator pit. How much more risk do you want from an exercise that's actually just do the simple stuff. You get so much more bang for your buck if you just keep it simple.
There is a top tip about when lunging with your hands above your head does come in handy. So if you're somebody that tends to struggle with falling forward and lunge, you don't need to have dumbbells in your hand, but just practicing your lunges with your hands above your head can help with that positioning a little bit with keeping you
I don't
upward.
mind see stuff like an overhead lunge. Absolutely fine. Like
Yeah.
I've no issue with that stuff at all. But if you want to physically work on stability, the best way to work on stability is on a stable surface using heavy weight. So
Yeah.
build stability by getting stronger, not by doing squats on a Bosu ball or doing something where you've got one of these balance boards on your front foot and you're trying to do a bloody snatch with a front-legged snatch with on a balance board. Like there's no benefit to that. If you want stability, build stability alongside getting stronger. That's where it comes from. It's not about putting yourself in harm's way.
This actually comes right back to the porridge chat. You know, there's a place for having porridge and there's a place for having protein. And it doesn't need to be combined just because you want to have both. So you can do those other
Yeah,
things, but don't see them as a strength exercise. Do them because you find them fun, you find them challenging for
yeah,
balance, you're working your balance, but you're not trying to combine it as both. There's certain things that your balance and your strength can be combined together because you're working balance when you're doing those lunges and so on. But there are certain exercises which would be better separate. And I think that's
yeah.
okay. And
Absolutely, and I think that's the thing though. We just need to go. That's cool. That's fine. It's okay to do separate exercises. We don't all need to do. I know that a lot of people are promoting 30-minute sessions. Like, cool, brilliant, great. But for people that don't want to do 30-minute sessions and want to do a bit more, you don't need to combine exercises. We can keep them separate and get stronger at them and get better at them because you're spending a bit more time on them.
I've just sent you a picture, Andy. I asked ChatGPT to create an image of the anti-functional coach, and that's pretty bang on, I'd say.
It actually looks like he should be fighting in the UFC next week.
I mean, he's pretty grumpy looking, but I was
He's
like,
pretty grumpy looking.
yeah, but there
The
you go.
anti-functional.
They actually wrote it on the
Anti,
t-shirt for those of you listening. It says anti-functional coach. Um,
maybe I should get that printed up on some t-shirts.
I think it's not a bad idea because there'll be people out there that feel the same. If you do want to upset Andy in any ways, you approach him and you ask him for functional fitness or that you want to be a hybrid athlete. That's another word that he loves.
Hybrid athlete, average it all.
Yeah, but you know what? I would probably say I think it's just another way of saying just fit. I would say that I'm quite happy to if a hybrid athlete is somebody that does some strength training and some running, then I'm like, cool, I'm a hybrid athlete. It's just that I've never thought of it as that. A bit of jack of all trades, master of none. Thanks.
That's it. I think it is. It's one of those ones, isn't it? Do you know?
You're doing ChatGPT, aren't you?
Apparently, well, no. That's one of the ones that kind of made me sick in my mouth was apparently HYROX
Oh
stands
no.
for hybrid rock star.
It actually made me question whether I wanted to do them. I sent that to a coach at the gym that I go to, and I was like, "Have you seen this?" And he's like, sent me the sick emoji back as well, and I was like, "I
Yeah,
just wish I
it's.
never knew. Who thought of that?"
I know. Who
It's
thought of
just,
that and thought it would be a good idea? That's all
and
I'm going to
then
say.
we were all up for Hyrox, but why do you have to tell us that it meant that? Why did you have to
Yeah,
actually put that out
ruin it
there? Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's even worse than being called average. The hybrid rock star.
Hybrid
Cool
rock
story.
star. I mean, I'm not feeling great like a rock star at the moment. I feel like I've been nursing more niggles. But you know, we move and we get better. In fact, I'm doing a fitness challenge in the app at the moment, and I'm joining them with choosing mobility as a bit of a focus, Andy, for June. I was like, make me.
Believe me, after the last 4 or 5 weeks since me having my chat with the physio, I'm up for any mobility stuff. Like my mobility, I've been keeping on top of mobility, and I'm feeling pretty good. So yeah,
I've
touch wood, then touch wood.
Yeah, well, I split it into, like you have the morning routines, like a daily routine. I split theirs into an upper three exercises, upper, might be four actually, and the same with lower. And so they could alternate days and just go, today I'm doing that one, tomorrow I'm doing that one, and just alternate. And consistency over time, not planning to necessarily do it every day without fail. But if you can get it in 4 or 6 times a week, alternate four days or 6 days, but and then you're laughing really. So um doing that over June, I'm hoping you'll see me absolutely free of any niggles because my bicep was causing me problems, which I haven't had before, but I think it's getting better.
Low down or high up?
Well, it's actually just, I think, well, I thought it was just a bit swole, Andy, not gonna lie. It was very just tight. And every time I extended my arm, it was more like pulling down here. But then I actually felt a lump on my arm and I was like, oh, have I actually done it a mischief? But I actually think that I found the lump separate to that because then I was like, I think I found the lump because I'm massaging my arm. Anyway, they think it's a lipoma. They think it's just a fatty spot. So it's nothing particularly to worry about.
I
But
found the
I,
lump on my arm. I found the bicep.
I did say that, I did think that. I was like, just too swole. But I think what happened is the lump poked out a bit more because my bicep was swollen. I felt like
Yeah.
I was like feeling jacked. But then I was like, but when I open my arm fully, it is getting better now. It hurts. It's like really pulling
I'm
on the
feeling jacked. I've
tendon.
got two biceps.
I've got two biceps. So yeah, yeah. Let's hope that is like doesn't grow. No, it's fine now. I was
Yeah.
like, even if it is a little fatty lump, am I gonna look like I've got another lump in
Nah.
my arm? And he was like,
Nah.
no.
Have you is it a bit like tennis elbow or golfer's elbow? Is it down
It
that
doesn't feel
direction?
like it's on the inside and it's above. It just feels like a real tightness in my muscle. It like I need to stretch it. So I'm I'm kind of stretching my bicep. It doesn't feel like traditionally tennis elbow feels like a pain on the inside or the outside of the actual elbow. Whereas
Yeah.
this is
There's a
actually above.
quite a nice exercise to open up your biceps. Have you ever done have you ever done Zottman curls before?
Yes, I have. But
So
tell people what they are because yeah.
So a Zottman curl is basically a bicep curl, and at the top you turn your wrist over, and it's a
Yeah.
reverse curl on the way down. So there's an exercise called a reverse Zottman curl, which is a reverse curl, and then open it out to a bicep curl. And it's very, very good for helping stretch out the tendons in the elbow. It helps stuff like golfers and tennis elbow quite well. So it's just a nice overhand grip, turn to the top, and then a nice big stretch at the bottom, so allow it to get to full extension and allow you the stretch to feel. Also, another wee thing with biceps as well is that when you get to the bottom of the movement, imagine that you're allowing the heel of your hand to point towards your feet, and that just helps open up the joint even more. And it will just hopefully give it a bit more of a stretch too.
I think that's what I need to do is I'll have a go at those because I've got some lighter dumbbells in the house which I can do it gently with.
Yeah,
I think it was just really
you
tight. But
don't you don't
I
need
did go and
much
get
weight for them, believe me.
no, no. Things are deceptively hard, aren't they? But
Yeah,
I was like,
I use sixes for the reverse Stockman curls. It's like you
yeah,
get in and you're like, these are burning, and I'm using sixes, and I'll be using 24s, 28s, 30s for hammer curls. So I feel like an absolute weakling here, but it's just because it's such a big open stretch that you're hitting the very fullest range of movement before rotating over and hitting at a completely different angle. So yeah, it's good, but it definitely helps open things up. My elbows and my elbows and biceps have been really good since I've been in getting them in like once, so like even for like a couple of sets just as like a warm up for biceps it's made a big difference.
well, there we go. I would definitely be doing that because I'll often I'll record the workouts for my clients and I'll do gym workouts as well. And I actually think that sometimes it's the home workouts that I'm just getting on and recording, maybe not warming up so well before I just jump
Mm.
into those that actually leave me aching more than the ones where I go to the gym and I'm like, right, I'm doing this, I'm going to do my accessories, I'm going to warm up. So it's just making sure that I'm taking care over my movement.
Yeah,
afterwards
and
and
as
before.
we've spoken about previously, kind of the more experienced we become, i.e., the older we get,
The more we
the
need
more
to.
looking after yourself becomes top of the list. So, things like incorporating a better set, also or better warm ups, bit more mobility work. So, like, I've been doing my mobility work between sets at the moment, and even things like I was doing shoulders and triceps yesterday, and I was still doing my hip flexor stretches, the bit to get my knee joint opened up a bit more, some reverse curtsy lunges just to get all my hips and stuff working. And I'm doing that in an upper body session just because it fits nicely between the exercises. So, find places to put them.
Yeah, it's such a good
Yeah,
way of fitting in that rehab, isn't it? I mean, I am warming
yeah,
up for my runs now, whereas I wouldn't have years ago. I could have just got away with just running out the door, and now
yeah,
I need to warm up. So body is changing, but I love putting accessory exercises, rehab type exercises in between the working sets as well, because um it just feels like it's like habit stacking, isn't it? You're just getting them
yeah.
in whenever you can. Thank you with the tip on Zottman curls though, because it is,
Here's another tip. Here's another tip for you, right?
yeah,
Laura sent me this earlier on. So, farting is actually healthy.
go on.
Passing gas isn't just natural, it's also beneficial. Studies have suggested that releasing gas can help reduce high blood pressure and support overall health. Um, and it also maintains a key role in your digestive system and reducing bloating. So there you go. So
There
anybody
we
complaining about their other half for dropping gas, think again.
Did I tag you in a study that was something about? I feel like there was a study a little while back about fatting, and I was like, Andy's going to like this one. And it was something about, I have to find it. I'm sure I got like a study summary. Anyway, there we go. It's been an interesting pod so far, hasn't it? Covered started off quite serious with GLP-1s. We've hardly chatted about food, but a little bit did come in with the mousse and so on. And if you are making Laura a cake, then I want a picture.
Yes, we'll try. I think she'll want her standard Colin the
Got the
Caterpillar.
caterpillar.
That's birthday cake for Laura.
Fine. Put a
If it was
candle in
me,
it.
to be fair, I'll probably make a carrot cake because I had such a disappointed cake for my own birthday. I'll make my own carrot cake.
That sounds like a good idea. And, I say trying this recipe so you don't need to. I want trying this exercise so you don't have to. And then you can tell us how great they are. I am going to love that if you do it. I'm going to be just sending you I'm going to be looking for all the shit.
Just look for crap exercises and fire them over. We'll give it a rating. We'll do a rating from out of 5.
I'm
I
going
always
to,
think five's
well,
easier.
it's 5 is good because you can't go for middle. Like you can't just cop out at a 5, giving it a 5 out of 10. Um, I think Tracy, I know she loves getting you mentioned on podcasts. I'm sure she will find you some exercises to try. People like getting their coaches to do exercises that look ridiculous.
So up for it.
There we go. All
Get your
right.
suggestions our way.
Yes, please, always. And do you want to sign off, Andy? Should we leave that to you? You're so good at
As
it.
as always, give us a 5-star rating on wherever you get your podcast from, whether it's Spotify, Amazon, Apple Music, wherever it is. Give us a little rating. It always helps because people get to see a bit more. If you are listening to us, screenshot, like and share it, chuck it up on Instagram, social media, the things that we hate, but we will generally we'll reshare it because that's how the world works these days. But it's always good. Ruth is at Ruth MacFit on Instagram. I am Andy_Wolfpack, and we shall see you probably next week.
Yes. Yeah, lovely. Thank you so much, Andy, and thank you everyone that's listened. See you next time.
Ciao, ciao.